Okay, so this is going to be some quick research because I need to figure it out. I want to figure out how to get CSS out of a React styled component based on just whatever styling it's got. So I'm gonna create a React app, or should we do this in Code Sandbox? Let's do it with create React app, and I'm gonna go from there. Got about 45 minutes before I have to get to work, so this isn't going to be a very long stream, but we'll see if I can figure this out because I need it for a project. So create React app. Do I still know how to do that? Extract CSS. Let's call it just extract CSS. I'm also not used to streaming in the morning, so I'm a little rusty. And it's also a weird time, so we'll see if anyone actually joins, because I have no idea what kind of people are online at this hour. Okay, so I'm creating a React app and waiting for that to show up. Yeah, so that's the waiting part. There we go. And I can now go to extract CSS, yarn start, open the project over here. Come on, where am I? Random coding, extract CSS. So we're gonna have the standard create React app. Perfect. Now we're going to add styled components. Yarn add styled components like that. And then I can do what? Hey Julian, do you prefer it? Do you like it when it's the middle of the afternoon, or do you prefer it when I go in the like middle of the evening here? Okay, so styled components are installed. We can go into app.js, switch to React mode, and I'm going to, what are we gonna do? Let's start with a styled component and then go from there. So I'm gonna zoom this out a little bit. Hey Reno. I actually have them on a weekday a lot. It's just late in the evenings, and I don't think the YouTube algorithm actually suggests my streams to anyone because because they're kind of long and people don't watch them that much, so YouTube is like, nah, not worth it. Okay, div class, what should we... Actually, let's also install Rebase, because Rebase is cool. Yarn add Rebase, and I'm going to make a button where when you click the button it gives you its own CSS. That seems like a good enough project. So we're gonna say import button from Rebase, like that, and I'm going to say button see my CSS, right? Can't resolve. What? Why can't it resolve? Let's try that again. Interesting. Coding streams as a background noise. Do you work alone or do you work in an office? Because in my office I don't need any extra background noise. Okay, so we got a button that doesn't have, well, it's a styled component. Let's style equal, let's add some padding on top here, just so that it isn't all up there. So see my CSS. Now on click we're going to run get CSS, which is going to be a function here. Get CSS equals a function that does what? We don't need the logo anymore. Now get CSS is going to need a reference, const ref, and const ref equals use ref. Cool. That's actually really good. I'm in an open office where people will often have meetings that go on for like half an hour right next to me where I like right next to where I work, which is kind of annoying. So let's see if this is a ref called our ref. We should now here be able to console log our ref.current. Let's see. So ref.current, when I click this, we get the current ref. That is good. Oh wow, now there's suddenly 11 people on the stream. Hello people. If you're not a bot, say hi in the chat room. Okay, so we have the... Yes, at least they don't shout from one end of the office to the other, and that's because we have Slack for that. So if I console log the current ref, I know there is a way to get... what did I find the other day? Hey Drew, what was it? DOM get CSS of element. That was one way. Hey Missiles, I'm happy that you're not a bot. HTML element.style. Let's see if that works. Console log.ref current.style. And the other one would be console log window get computed style of our ref.current. So we got this. When I click see my CSS, we get wait, I can no longer tell which ones we're getting. So let's see if I get that one. See my CSS. Okay, that gives me a style declaration. That's useful. But then I have to filter out all of the empty ones, and actually all of them look empty. What about if we get the computed style? So I click this one and I get a bunch of stuff, but does any of it have values? Border block, border bottom, so it does have a bunch of stuff, but I feel like if we take all of this CSS to export, that's going to be just too much, isn't it? Yeah, because like, and I also don't even know how to... Yeah, let's see if we can get this to a string. So we're going to say const css equals window.computedStyle of our current ref. And then I can go object.entries of this guy, and we take the key value, and we return a string that is key and value, like that. Map key value, and then we join by new line. Okay, if I now console log the CSS, we will get way too much CSS, won't we? Yes. And also, what is the CSS style? That doesn't look right. Okay, how does... And it's 35 kilobytes. Okay, so that's not gonna work. CSS style declaration, what does that object look like? And then it's got get property value and stuff. Is there an easy way to stringify this? CSS style sheet document. CSS text, that's what we can do. Okay, so we get the computed style and we call CSS text, and let's see what that gives us. Console log CSS. That is too much CSS, isn't it, for a single button? Like if we were to export this into a file, I think it would just be horrible. Okay, so that's not a good approach. What else can we try? We can also see if styled components has anything, because I think styled components have support for server-side rendering, which means they will most likely have something that lets you get the CSS, but I don't know what that is. API reference, server-side rendering, let's look at those. Supported CSS, flow, TypeScript, previous APIs, tooling. Okay, let's look at server-side. Styled component supports concurrent server-side rendering with style sheet rehydration. Every time you render, blah, tooling, in order to reliably blah blah blah. So we are going to need React DOM server. So let's see, let's see if this works. Import render to string from React DOM/server. Hey Mahdi, how are you doing this morning? And import server style sheet from style components. The purpose of what I'm doing is that in the for the project that I'm building for the paid live streams, I'm using we want to export a widget that is rendered with React, and we want that exported widget, which is plain HTML, to work anywhere basically. So it needs to have CSS bundled together with it, because otherwise it's not going to look great. So I'm trying to figure out how to make that work. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And Magdi, I'm doing pretty good actually. I'm a little tired this morning, but other than that, I'm doing well. Okay, so let's see. Get CSS const sheet. Okay, we can const sheet equals new server style sheet, like that. Server style sheet. Then we say const HTML equals render to string sheet dot collect styles of our button. Okay, and then we can say console log HTML. Let's see if that works. I don't think it's gonna work because I remember it complains. Yeah, so it. Yes, I am trying to run SSR on the client, and I believe that you should let me do that. Why can't the clone method be used on the client? The clone method cannot be used on the client. Why? Not sure why you're trying on the client side. I'm using React to build a static page. Similar problem. Ow! Style sheet instance to HTML workaround works for now, but for long term, I think that a get static API, get static CSS API, get global CSS. I was mainly trying to parrot React's API, experiencing this issue when trying to test with Jest repro code. Style sheet reset true. Would you mind posting a complete example? What? Okay, sheet. Okay, so we create the server style sheet. No, this is my case is that I literally want to get CSS as a string. It's not for SEO or for server-side rendering. I just literally need the CSS for a style for the component or for a set of components. Okay, so style sheet. Okay, let's see if this works. I don't think it's gonna work, but we can try. Style sheet dot reset true. Okay, import you up here. So we have style sheet reset true. Then we go sheet is new server style sheet. Output is React test renderer. Okay, so we have rendered the string, which should be fine. collect styles of our element, and then we console log hybrid, then we console log the HTML. Let's see what happens. Can't resolve styled components lib models style sheet. Why? Cannot find module blah blah blah. Let's see. Expected behavior. This issue actually belongs into jest styled components issues. This is now fixed. You can simply upgrade to jest styled next. Yeah. I'm not trying to use it jest. I just want to get CSS out. Why is that so hard? Okay. What if we don't do that? Okay, so that doesn't work anymore. Style sheet dot instance to HTML. So, but style sheet doesn't exist anymore. Trying to upgrade, module not found. There's a breaking change, shipping only. We're continuing a discussion on the breaking change here. The path is gone, but it's still being exposed as a secret internal. Okay. So what is the secret internal? Import do not use or you will be haunted as cool. Okay. Via secret. Okay, so how do we secret internals? How do I use the secret internals? Why is this so hard? Since the data styled components. Okay, so const style sheet. Yeah, that's right. If they told me, it wouldn't be a secret internal, would it? You're right, it wouldn't. So import style sheet from styled components. Let's do it this way. Styled, and okay, we can now do. So that's the secret internals. So I can say const style sheet equals style dot, or let's console log this and see what it actually contains. Okay. Undefined. How do? Okay, what if we say, will this work? So import blah from styled components. Yay! Okay, so style sheet does show up. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. So now we can say const style sheet equals do not use blah dot style sheet. Okay, so we now have the style sheet. What do we do with it? What kind of functions does it have? It has the reset. Okay, so if I now say style sheet dot reset true, will that make it work? But that resets my CSS, so that's not great either. See my CSS. Okay, so now we get the HTML. Okay, so let's see what was it before to get the CSS text out. CSS get style element. So if I say let's see, console log sheet.get style element, what does that give me? Hi bird. So that gives me the style element, which has stuff, and then the style element, where is he getting CSS? So we can import asterisk as CSS from CSS. So let's install CSS, yarn add CSS. This is getting hairier and hairier, to be honest. Kiwi, hi. Okay, so I have the CSS module. I'm still following this guy. So we can say const CSS styles equals sheet.getStyle element map element to L props dangerously set inner HTML underscore HTML join, and then we say const styles equals CSS stringify of css.parse CSS styles. Okay. Console log styles. Let's see what we get. Ooh. So we got the box sizing, padding top, padding bottom, background color, font weight. Wow. So all of that actually worked. Kiwi, please stop eating my backpack, thank you. Okay, so we have, this is the actual CSS. It's designed to be in a class. And the other problem is that we had to reset the style sheet. Now I'm wondering, what is CSS styles here? What if we can do, let's see if we can do this with the ref based API. So I'm not going to reset the style sheet, and I'm not going to do this. Instead, I'm going to say, let's see, const CSS styles equals, let's see, what does the CSS module do? Maybe the CSS module is able to do stuff with the weird API. Right, yes. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. CSS styles are going to be window.getComputedStyle of our ref.current, and then we're going to stringify all of that, so CSS text. And what happens if we pass that into CSS parse? And then maybe we won't need to do all of the internals and weird stuff. So now our button is still styled, and when I press this, we get an error. Nice. Let's see. Console log CSS styles. What do those look like? And why isn't it able to parse? So I'm gonna do that. Hi burp. See my CSS animation delay. So that's all of that stuff. But then CSS parse isn't able to do that. Console log css.parse of CSS styles, and I think it's going to complain. Yeah. Okay, so it complains that it's missing stuff. Okay, so that doesn't quite work. What if we instead CSS parse? So what I'm hoping to do with this is literally to extract, actually I can show you. It's like think of it as a teaser for the new course that I'm building through a paid live coding series. If I go to Spark Joy, Gatsby develop. So I'm gonna show you exactly why I'm doing this research. So on my on my paid streams, we are developing a widget builder that should let you export HTML as a widget. So see if I go here, localhost 8000. So we're making this thing where when you click export, so you're trying to export this question thingy. When you press export and you paste, you get HTML with a bunch of classes, but these classes won't actually work because the CSS isn't there. So what I'm trying to figure out is how to get the CSS. And then when we can get the CSS, we can make this export actually work. So that's why I'm doing this research right now. Let's see. Console log rev.current.class. Can I do class name? Will that work? Let me zoom out a bit to see my CSS that errored out. Okay, so we got the classes. Okay, so now if I say const class name equals that stuff, then I can make the CSS styles wrapped in that, and that might make them possible to, you know, parse. So we split by space and we join with a dot, right? So that should give us all of the class names together. I'm not, so in the interest of keeping the initial run of the series small and to keep my promise that I closed it and I'm not letting more people in, I don't think I can let you in right now, Mehdi, but I can promise you that I think it's going really well, so I will do it again in the future. I might just keep doing them like once a quarter or something. We'll see how that works. But yeah, don't worry, there's definitely going to be more. But for this one, I think you're gonna have to wait until it's actually until the recorded version is launched. So CSS parse string, we set class name, and then dude, you just pooped on me. The fuck? Hey. Can't just poop on people. Why would you do that? Don't bite so hard. My battery ran out. Yeah, the bird is not, he's not well behaved today because usually we hang out in the morning, so he's trying to get my attention, I think, because I'm doing this instead of messing around with him. Yeah? Yeah, do you have too much energy? See, this guy has too much energy and is trying to seek attention. Yeah, you see, you can be on the camera as well. Okay. Right, so where was I? I was trying to do this. So let's see what happens if we wrap them in a class. So now this works, okay. Let's see if it's actually going to work. So const style, CSS stringify, and then we console log them. Let's see. See my CSS. Okay, so this gave us too much stuff. Okay, so that doesn't work. We are gonna have to use the weird reset. Okay, so we don't need that one, but we do need the sheet, and then we CSS parse the CSS styles. Okay, and yeah, we said this doesn't work without the reset, right? Yeah, but what if instead we do this? So here, what if we reset it here? Reset true, so that it's only reset once we click the button. A parakeet, so he's yes, I guess he's technically a parakeet. So the funny thing is that parakeet just means parrot, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, he's a sun conure or a Sunday. He's a Sunday conure. Interesting. So, I wonder why. Why? So we're able to get the CSS, but only if we reset all of the styling, which isn't great because since this is happening in a UI, we need everything to, you know, look good as well, not be resetted. I wonder what this actually does, and why, like, why do I need to reset the CSS to be able to make this work? That's what confuses me right now. Yes, do not use or you will be haunted by spooky ghosts. Style sheet reset true. So let's go into the styled components here and see what that actually does, because I would like to be able to go around it without, you know, without resetting my styles. So models, style sheet, reset. For server, boolean master new style sheet. Okay. Right, so basically doing this puts style components in server mode, which is why we don't have styling anymore, because server mode doesn't have styling. But let's see if the style sheet module can let us get stuff somehow else. Like what are the available things? So if we say let's see, dot, what does exist? CSS styles, dangerously set get CSS. What if we just call get CSS? Get CSS console log. What does that give us? Get CSS is not a function. Why not? No. Okay, so we have ID for server, default, capacity, constructor, rehydrate. Rehydrate, then we have master instance reset, clone, adds children to the style sheet that inherit all of the parent's rules while their own rules do not affect the parent. Okay, that makes sense. set seal all tags, make tag, get import rule tag, get tag for ID, has name for ID, deferred inject, remove, to React elements to HTML. What if we call to HTML on this? To HTML is not a function, but it is a function. I can see it right here. Okay, what if we just console log this entire style sheet thing and see what it has? Style sheet has a bunch of stuff. What do we... Oh, is it like a static export? So set is a static function. Okay, so we need to call instance, and then on the instance we can call to HTML. Let's see what that does. No? Is it just dot instance? Aha. Okay, so dot instance get CSS. What does that give us? New. Okay, so we do need to put styled components in server mode, otherwise it doesn't work. But we also don't quite want that, because it's like, imagine if if you reset the CSS on your entire UI just to be able to get the string out. So what do we do? The other option is console log window dot head get elements by tag name style, which should also give us something useful. No, I cannot get the CSS from the HTML element. I can get so I can get the computed CSS, but that is too large. It's got every single property that exists for CSS in all the universe, so it's just too much. Document.head. So let me try a different hack. I want the actual CSS, but I want only the CSS that's necessary, not every possible, like, see, if I go with the HTML route, then what I want is this part, and instead I get all of this, and that is too much. This also, if I go with this route, I also don't get all the CSS for all the child elements, and I need that as well. So I'm gonna see if I can get it with the style from the style stuff. So let's see, document get blah, and then for each style tag we're going to console log style dot what exists inner HTML. Let's see. So see my CSS. Oh, right. Get elements by tag name. How do I iterate through those? Get elements by tag name. Yes. What does it return? Really, is it really not possible to just iterate through this stuff like a normal person? Why is all of this so... Oh, it returns an HTML collection instead of... How do I iterate through an HTML collection? Get elements by tag name, iterate. Like array from. Oh, okay, that's a good idea. That seems so unnecessary though. Yeah, I don't like vintage vibes. Array from blah. Okay. Backwards compatibility, I can understand that. So this gave us all of the CSS, which is great. So now we need to only get the ones that have, so const styles equals, and we're going to say filter where style matches the SC component. If it has the SC component ID stuff, then it's the style we want. Yes. So style dot match SC style. Let's do style dot index of SC component ID is more than -1. So those are going to be our styles. Then we say console, and then we join them. Style includes. Oh, I like that. I forgot about that one. That's a relatively new method, isn't it? Style includes join. Check the log. Okay. Why can't I click that? Oh, I can't click it because I have click-through mode enabled. So then we join these guys, and if we now console log the styles, we should be able to get style includes is not a function. String dot include dot includes. What? Oh, I know why. Style.inner HTML includes blah. Okay. Then we map that with. Actually, let's map.style. No, let's do it first. Let's do it here. So then we join them, and we should now have our CSS. Yes. Okay. So we have the styles. Now the next part is going to be CSS styles. Next part is going to be cleaning them up. Const styles equals css.stringify, css.parse, css styles, and we console log the styles. Sweet. Okay, now let's see if CSS stringify can let us clean stuff up a little bit. So npm.js CSS. Maybe it lets us like remove what's it called, comments and stuff like that, just so that we get slightly smaller stuff. So parse options, indent, compress. So we do want to compress through, and let's see what that does. Okie doke. See my CSS. Now let's reload. Now see my. Oh, come on. Oh. I got confused with where I'm adding the argument. Cool. Yay! It works. Is there a duck in that room? No, it's my parrot who likes to impersonate ducks. Awesome. So this worked great. Thanks for your help, everyone. I'm going to... Not sure if this is if it's like particularly useful to be. I was thinking of like open sourcing this or something, but I'm not sure it's very useful. Also, the next step would be filtering out all of the yeah. So that's something I still have to figure out how to do, because if we do this, this gets the CSS for the entire page. Gets CSS for the entire page. To do filter out. Yeah. Filter out. What did I say? What was gonna say? Damn it! Now I can't remember. Filter out only class names for. So we're already filtering out the comments because of this compression. Filter out only class names for sub3. So if you wanted to only get styles that apply to a specific component, this won't work just yet. So I need to figure that out. Can I figure that out? Let's see, what does... I'm not sure what the API... So the API would be something like get CSS and then render stuff, and you would get out the CSS for that. But let's see... What does CSS parse return? Console log. I just want to see if knowing the class names would be helpful. So see my CSS, type style sheet, source undefined, rules, comment. So we have comments. Yeah, CSS from a specific child node. So type rule. Selectors. Oh, awesome. So we can filter them by selectors. Yeah, like if there's a chain of 5 components you're rendering. So let's see. We can get all of the CSS that belongs to a particular set of components if we can get what's it called? The classes themselves. So let's see, can we... Yeah, exactly what you're saying, Duruk. So get CSS, how do we get all class names? React get list of class names, and oh, I know what we can do. So I'm gonna do this. Const element equals document dot create element. We're gonna call it a body. Then we're going to say react dot render or react DOM. So import react DOM from react minus DOM, and then we say react DOM dot render button into our element, or no, actually let's do it like this. So we can get a we don't need any of that. We can get a reference. So if we have ref.current, we can say ref.current, let's console log that and see class name. Okay, so that's our classes. So we're gonna be looking for anything that matches that that thing. So ref current class name, and then how do we get the children? Let's just add here let's add a styled component. Const emoji equals style dot span, and we're going to say font size is 20 ems. and we're going to say span and add a painter guy like that. Oh, and we said it's going to be called emoji, so we will now have more things. Import styled from styled components. Emoji is not defined because yes it is. Okay, 20 EMs is too big. Let's see 2.5 EMs. Cool. So it's not the prettiest, but you see we now have more CSS. So let's see if we can get class names for everything. Console log. How do we get all children from a thing? DOM get all children, get all child elements, child nodes children. Document body children. What does that give us? So I need to collect all of the class names basically. So let's see, ref.current.children console log ref current children, and so that gives me a span, but does it give me any children in here? Span high. So we now have more of this stuff, but it only gives me the first one, which means that I have to go through recursively and flatten them out. So we can do that. So const class names equals ref.current. Let's get class names for ref.current, and we're going to say function get class names for a node is going to return node.className, and then for the rest is going to return get class names. No, so it's going to return array from node.children map get class names. So this should give me all class names for that's a good idea, Ismindberry. So console log class names. Let's see what happens. What did I do wrong? Okay, so that gives me recursion, and voila, we get all of the things. And let's flatten those. Dot flat. Perfect. So we got all of the class names, and we should filter out any empty ones. Filter C where it's an empty. Cool. So we now have the class names. Next step is to filter the CSS. So we have class names, document CSS styles, that gets us the entire page. Then we have const parsed CSS is going to be css.parse of CSS styles. Okay. Now filter boolean. Can I? Okay. So parsed CSS, console log parsed CSS, and that gives us the style sheet, and we go into the rules. So parsed css.rules equals parsed css.rules.filter, and we get a rule, and we return, let's see, if the selector, so we go for rules and we see if the selector matches any of our class names. For class names, we need to split them by space. So those are our class names. So we go map name, and we say name dot split by space. So we split the names by space, and then we name dot split, and then we map each. Oh, then we flat that. I think you need a base condition in get class names. So I have the base condition because if there's no node children, the reason we got an empty string in the end of the array is because span doesn't have a class. So if it doesn't have a class, it returns an empty value. So then we're flattening those. Then we're mapping again for name, and we're returning dot name, like that. So if I console log class names here, we should get separate class names. And here, let's just do that for now and verify. See my class names. So see, we got class names with the things. And boolean didn't work. See, let's just say c dot length is less than 1. So I console we get all of the class names that we care about. Did we? No, we're missing one of them. We only filter them when it's empty. Why are we missing one of them? That's wrong. Let's see. Console log get class names for rev.current. So let's see. I think I'm doing something wrong. What if we just don't have that filter? Okay, so that works better. That's fine. We don't really care about, I don't know why that got filtered out, but we don't really care about the last one being empty because it's not going to mess anything up, I think. So we have the parse CSS. We go through our rules, and for each rule we see what do we see? Let's console log this again. Console log parse CSS. Console clear before return. Yeah, maybe. So rules, and then we go for rules that are type rule. So we say parse CSS, then parse CSS filter rule, where rule.type equals rule, and then we filter them by. So we want the ones that just have a rule, and then we say filter rule where, what was it, selectors? Yeah. So selectors need to include one of our filter rule dot selectors dot includes how do we do that? I'm trying to think if it would be better to use arrays or just concatenate everything. Array dot sum. Yeah, okay. So we have our, so we get rule.selectors.sum .sum include really 1 2 3 4 sum 3 no sum and equals 3. Okay, Cool, so we have to go to rule.selectors and say for sum, selector is class names dot sum of selector. Okay, so that should work. Now what happens when we console log parsed CSS? Let's see my CSS. Cannot read property filter of undefined because it's parsed CSS dot style sheet dot rules dot bp what? Oh. Some name equals selector. Haha. And our style sheet is now greatly reduced, and now we can say const styles equals css stringify of parsed css and compress true. Or let's just do parse CSS for now to see that it actually does work. Console.log styles. Bam. Yes. Okay. So that works. Neat. So we now have a generic method that is able to get the CSS for any subtree in, this would probably work, this doesn't even need styled components, it's just, well, it requires styled components for this. Actually, if we take this out, then we don't need styled components, right? Yep. Nice. So, okay. So that worked. Cool. Now I should really, now I want to immediately write a write-up for this, but I should go to work. So I'm probably gonna post this as a blog tomorrow and explain how it works, and probably open source it because this seems useful and I was looking for it for a long time. Awesome. So thanks everyone for watching. I'm probably going to be doing some live coding Friday night publicly, and anyone who is on the paid course thingy, I will see you tonight. Bye guys.